World leaders are meeting in Paris for a summit to overhaul the global financial system and help the world respond to climate change. Under discussion, the Bridgetown Initiative, proposals from developing countries led by Barbados to break the cycle of climate disasters, pushing poorer countries ever further into debt. So, what might this shake-up look like? Well, poorer countries argue that the way development finance works today is outdated. The world's financial system hasn't had a refresh since the 1940s. And they say that change is needed in the way that money is loaned and repaid. Development banks should mobilise an additional $1 trillion for poorer countries to help them move towards climate resilience. And the International Monetary Fund needs to suspend interest on loans for up to 3 years. There's also a call for the IMF to offer $100 billion a year in currency risk guarantees to help drive private sector investment in projects helping poorer countries move to a low-carbon economy. Our correspondent Nathalie Malhas is in Paris. So, Nathalie, is there now a real resolve to make these fundamental changes to the global financial system?
It does indeed appear so. In fact, just hearing from some of the 50 heads of state and representatives of over 100 countries that are attending this financial summit in Paris, many have already, in their opening remarks and the roundtables that they've participated in, said that they feel encouraged and heartened by the announcements already made, the intention that is on the table, them sitting at this conversation and having their ideas not only considered but put into action. That has left them feeling really encouraged. We heard from the Prime Minister of Barbados earlier today in her opening remarks, Prime Minister Motley, that hard action needs to be taken by as early as tomorrow, not just in a figurative sense, but by the end of this two-day summit. These very real changes not only should be penciled in, but inked in. In fact, this is what she had to say a little earlier.
We do not ask for the bankruptcy of private companies. That's not our wish. But we do ask for everybody to share the burden so that we can share the bounty. And it therefore means that simply relying and holding only governments accountable has run its course. And what is necessary now is for us to bring to the table also multinational corporations whose balance sheets dwarf more than 2/3 of the world's states.
So it sounds like some signs of progress emerging from this summit, but what are the main sticking points?
Well, we're hearing from the world leaders who are gathered here that the developing nations and their presidents, their prime ministers and representatives saying they just have too much going on with the unemployment crisis. They're buckling under their debts. They're trying to protect their biodiversity and protect their economies. They're looking for more flexible and tailored financial programs best suited for their needs, best suited for particularly the countries that are worst affected by global warming, that if you just take an overview look, are the countries that contribute least to some of those harmful effects of climate change. We heard from the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, that in its current form, the financial system simply isn't fit for purpose, with the cost of natural disasters for last year alone running up $300 billion. This is weighing heavily on the economies of the most vulnerable nations, and an overhaul of the financial system is desperately needed, and soon.
Nathalie, thank you very much. Our correspondent, Nathalie Malhas in Paris.